Saying yes to too many projects that are not in your wheelhouse will cost you a ton of money.
This isn't just any podcast. This is your secret weapon for dominating the market.
This is the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast, and this is your host, Sean McMean.
Welcome to episode 6 of Restoration Marketing Secrets. I'm your host, Sean McMean, and today's episode is all about saying yes to too many things that are not in your wheelhouse. That's going to cost you a lot of money over time. I've experienced this firsthand myself. I'm a small business owner. I run a marketing agency for damage restoration companies, and one of the things that I've learned over the years is that in my service, I could help a lot of different type of companies. I could help the mom and pop down the street. I could help an e-commerce client. I could help anybody with online marketing. But in order to be an expert in my field, you really have to understand the nuances of the consumer or the client that is going to be working with that business you're dealing with. For instance, with marketing. When I first started in marketing field, I would help any small business around me because, number one, I was looking for business, looking to grow, right? And it's a common practice. You got to pay the bills. And so there's a time and place when you have to say yes and when you have to say no. And once you get to that point where you're paying your bills and saying yes to things that are not in your wheelhouse will distract you and your team along the way. So here's an example. As I said, I started in the marketing industry probably 18 years ago. That's when I built my first website way back in the day. If anybody knows anything about front page or HTML editors, all that stuff like that, I used to do all that stuff way back in the day. I worked in the corporate world for a long time, and at the same time I cut my teeth doing SEO and building websites and doing pay-per-click. As I did that, what I learned was every single time I would talk to a new client, you have to learn who they're trying to market to and become an expert in that. And so it's to do it right, in which I try to do everything right as possible. I'm not perfect, but you have to really learn and dig deep into that messaging and be able to talk to that consumer the best way possible in order for the marketing to work. You can't just throw up a website for an e-commerce company or for a damage restoration company and think it does the same thing. It doesn't. You're not talking to the same people. You're not talking to the same urgency or anything. And so what I learned about 8 years ago, dealing with a lot of different local companies, was saying yes to too many projects where I didn't have the experience on that specific niche or that specific type of company. It derailed a lot of progress I was making in my own company. And so what you might be asking yourself, well, what does that have to do with a restoration company or a home service company? What it has to do with is how many times do you pick up the phone or from a friend or from someone referral, and they're asking you to do something that maybe you can help them with, but you probably shouldn't say yes to this. And the reason why you shouldn't say yes to it is because, number one, it's not in your wheelhouse. It's not the primary service that you do or the primary set of services that you do in your company. And it's a huge distraction. We never want to be trading dollars for dollars in our businesses, right? And I find this way too often when I talk to home service providers or damage restoration companies, and they do water, mold, fire, asbestos, crime scene, home remodeling, kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling. They do roofing, all of these things, right? And they're just a 1 or 2 man shop or woman shop, right? That you just can't do all of that and be an expert in your field. Now, if you're a big company, you've got a lot of trucks, you've got a lot of team members, certainly you can have those divisions or side companies or things like that. But if you're small, you have to be amazing at what you do and be that expert in that field. That's when you get referral business. That's when you become the go-to person in your area. But if you try to be everything to everybody, you are going to just be average at everything, right? And you see this a lot in entrepreneur spirits, and it's hard to say no to things especially when you need the money. But when I said at the top of this, saying yes can cost you money in the long run, it absolutely can. I have another example. One of my amazing team members, Abby, she's been working with me for so long now, I can't even remember. It's probably been at least 4 years. And so we would we would take on projects, right? And some of these projects were not in our wheelhouse in the early stages of my company. And I remember her getting me one of those easy buttons. I don't know if everybody's seen them from Office Depot or the commercials online. It said no, right? And so when I had it sitting on my desk for the longest time, and what was clear to me, what she was telling me, was every time I said yes to something that was not in the damage restoration space, home services space, we were derailing our team. Every time I said yes to a custom project or something that was completely out of whack, it was derailing our progress as a company. Now, with that being said, as a damage restoration company, you handle restoration issues, and so you're going to cover multiple aspects within a home restoration project. But what I'm trying to say here is that stay within your wheelhouse. There is plenty of work to do in your primary services. If you just do water mitigation and that's all you do, then really hit it hard and become the best company in your area for that. And people are going to know to go to you. They're going to refer people to you. You're going to have a clear messaging. But when you start bolting on things that you're not necessarily ready for, your team's not trained on, you don't have the processes in place, what's going to happen is you're going to, as the business owner, you're going to be consumed by that, and you're going to have to step in and help them out with that. And don't get me wrong, trust me, I've said yes to things because I had to from a financial standpoint, and you always you don't want to put yourself in danger there. But just if you're saying yes to something, maybe you charge a premium for that if it's not in your wheelhouse, right? Maybe you put some other guidelines or guardrails on that for things that are not necessarily your focus right now. You can help them do it, and you're doing what's best for them, but you charge a premium for that service, But by all means, if you can pay the bills with what you're doing now, don't say yes to projects that don't fall in your wheelhouse. You're killing yourself. You're killing your team, your processes, and ultimately, as an entrepreneur myself and business owners, we want to level up. We want to be, at least my goals are, within the next 5 years here, I want to make sure I'm the visionary of the business. I want to make sure that my team can execute at an extremely high level. They are experts in their field and their discipline. And if I say yes to projects that are not within our wheelhouse, just because I want a couple bucks off of it, it is doing a disservice to not only my team, my company, my family, but also to the person I'm saying yes to. So I'm going to get off my soapbox today about this, but it truly, reason why I wanted to do this and this episode today is because a lot of us say yes to things that we should be evaluating and really determine if we should be saying yes to this. Now, clearly, if you're doing water mitigation and you want to add on another service and you can take that service and you can do an amazing work with it, I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying stay in your wheelhouse, become an expert in your field, and expand from there. Hopefully that makes sense. Hope you got some value out of this episode. It is going into Labor Day weekend. I've committed to 365 podcasts in a row here. So this is episode 6, day number 6. Many more podcasts to come out, but I really appreciate you following along in this journey. Hopefully you get some value to that. Until next time, this is Sean McMean. Talk to you guys later.
You've been listening to the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast. Sean's not here to just talk the talk. He's walked the walk. With a track record of helping over 70 damage restoration companies and engaging in over 500 conversations with industry owners, he's seen it all. From digital marketing triumphs to the most ingenious growth hacks, he's got the keys to the kingdom, and he's sharing them with you. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, for more, hit the website at restorationmarketing.com. See you next time on the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast.